Week 4, the source. Family. I'm Sam Sutherland, a person on the internet, and every week I'm trying to remember why I am on the internet by celebrating one thing that I found on the internet that makes me not miserable, and in fact, stokes me out, hence the clever name. This week, it is Ya Ho Wha 13 and the Source family. Father Yod has been on my This Exists master list since 2014, which is terrifying because it means that I've been doing this kind of thing with some variation, insert your comments here, since 2014. So I'm dying is what I'm saying. I mean, we're all dying, but 4 years ago I was young and virile. Now I'm old and decrepit. Anyway, these videos are supposed to be positive. So in 2014, I made a video about Scientology jazz, which is still a high-performing video that makes me tons of YouTube money. And I was on a thread with my family, and my beloved younger sister suggested that in the vein of Scientology jazz, I should make a video about Ya Ho Wha 13, the Source family, and Father Yod. And I said, sure, totally. And I added it to a list and then forgot about it for 4 years. Periodically, I comb through the extensive This Exists pile of weird stuff and Google things that I've forgotten. So I'd Google Father Yod, and you sort of see it and you get it and you read the Wikipedia and you're like, okay, right, I kind of get it. But it never really grabbed me until I watched the documentary, The Source Family. This documentary was originally released in 2012, but it is currently available on Canopy. And this is not sponsored. I feel like every time I talk about a thing, it sounds like it's sponsored. Canopy is free if you have a library card. Many, many libraries include Canopy for free as part of their offering because libraries are really, really cool. In 2018, you can get ebooks, you can use a 3D printer, you can rent video equipment, you can rent audio equipment, you can learn how to insert wearables into your yarn. That one I really don't understand. But the point is, amongst the many great things that a lot of libraries do, and a lot of student libraries, if you're a student, you probably have access to Canopy, is give you access to video streaming services like this one. Canopy has an extensive documentary collection. I cannot stress this enough. If you have a library card, check and see if your library card gives you access. If you are a student, check and see if your student card gets you access. And one of those docs is about the Source family, and it's called The Source Family, and I finally watched it. And holy shit, I get it. The Source family was an epitome of what you consider a 70s West Coast spiritual movement, which is to say, it was definitely a cult, but everyone had long hair and beards, and they all, had sex with each other, and they pretended that it was about spirituality. The Source restaurant was the heart of what would become the Source family cult. This was one of the first health food restaurants in America, one of the first vegetarian restaurants. It's featured in Annie Hall. It's quite famous. It was in Los Angeles, it was on the Sunset Strip, and it was the center of a new wellness spirituality movement that actually looks a lot like the wellness and spirituality movement of our present day. But that's a whole other take that I'm not going there right now. The Source family's charismatic leader was a man named Jim Bakker, who eventually went by Father Yod and Ya Ho Wha. So you've got the free love, you've got the cool name, you've got the charismatic leader with the beard and the hair. They all look like Rick Rubin. But one of the things that made the Source family so unique was the tunes. There were tons of musicians that were part of this cult, and they jammed. We're talking really inventive, really groundbreaking psychedelic music led by Father Yod, shouting strange spiritual stuff, banging on timpanis, all while a group of more seasoned musicians attempted to sort of follow his lead. And the result is a genuinely original, cacophonous, psychedelic sonic experience that is much better than the Scientology jazz that I mentioned before. This is like quality cult music. In fact, the entire Source family documentary is soundtracked by the music of Ya Ho Wha 13. So by the time you get to the part where they're explaining all the records and all the various gigs that this band played, you're like, oh, I already think that this stuff kind of rules. It's like the Doors if it didn't suck. And unlike Scientology jazz or the music that David Koresh made, the Source family and Ya Ho Wha 13 was very musically influential. In the documentary, you see Billy Corgan himself espousing on the influence of the band. He actually jammed with them in 2008, but I'm skipping ahead a little bit here. And he talks about how when you hear Ya Ho Wha 13, you really feel like you are hearing and understanding God. And admittedly, Billy Corgan is he's Billy Corgan, but he makes an interesting point. Sky Saxon of the Seeds also cites Ya Ho Wha 13 as a major influence on his music. And when you consider that the Seeds have been covered by everyone from the Dwarves to Alex Chilton to the Ramones to Johnny Thunders, you realize that in many ways, Ya Ho Wha 13, for all of their, culty weirdness, are part of a proto-punk movement that leads us very directly into the present day, in a way that L. Ron Hubbard playing jazz in the Sea Org does not. This is relevant and hugely influential music. Now, the cult and the band's leader, Father Yod, Ya Ho Wha, Jim Baker, unfortunately passed away in 1975 from a hang gliding accident when he became convinced that he was supposed to hang glide, despite having never hang glowed before. So, hubris, not great when it leads you to jump off of a cliff to your death. But despite this, the band still plays. They tour semi-regularly. They jam with Billy Corgan. You can go see a Ya Ho Wha 13 concert and experience the weight of a 70s vegetarian wellness cult in 2018. There's a psych rock band in Phoenix called Mergence, whose member, Yod Paul, is so named because he was literally born into the Source family. There was so much boinking happening that there were entire actual families that were brought up inside of the Source family. And so you can very much trace the literal lineage to him. So lest you doubt the true musical influence of Ya Ho Wha 13 and the Source family, this entire documentary was also released and distributed by the legendary American indie label Drag City. So don't take my word for it, take Drag City's word for it. So thank you, the Source family and Canopy, for giving me something to be stoked about this week. What was the most interesting thing that you learned about this week? Let me know in the comments, or on Twitter, or at the bar. Be excellent to each other. And stay stoked forever. And use your student ID, or your library card. And if you don't have a library card, get a library card. And if you live somewhere without a library, start a library. I don't know if that's possible. My younger sister, who I credit with this slow burning idea for an episode, started a zine library when she was in high school. Maybe you could do that. Either way, see what your library card can do. You pay taxes. You might as well. I don't know why I'm still talking.